Today I visit with Lindsey Dunnagan from Kirksville, Missouri. I'm your host, Rick J., and this is Spotlight on the Arts. Welcome to Spotlight on the Arts, coming to you from the Daum Museum of Contemporary Art in Sedalia. Today I visit with Lindsey Dunnagan, an artist from Kirksville, Missouri. It's great to have you with us today. Gosh, I've been excited about this since meeting you here at your exhibit at the Daum Museum of Contemporary Art for a couple months. So thank you for visiting with me. I sure appreciate it. Thank you, Lindsey.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Well, this is your first time here on Spotlight on the Arts, so I'm interested in your exhibit, The Temporal Terrain at the Daum Museum of Contemporary Art. So, Lindsey, if I may call you by your first name, please first share with the viewers a little bit about Lindsey Dunnagan.
Yeah, so I grew up in Anchorage, Alaska. And that's really where I think I got my creative inspiration, where I first started making art and thinking about art. And I was really inspired by the landscape, as you can tell from this exhibit especially. But all of the work that I do, even if it's not related to Alaska, is about the landscape. It is about people and how we interact with the landscape. Sometimes it's map-based, which I think we'll see some paintings like that a little later in this episode. But for this exhibit, it is strictly landscape-based, but more invented landscape. I really enjoy the magic that happens when you bring things together that shouldn't exist or shouldn't coexist. Some more about my background. I studied architecture in undergrad and decided that I wasn't quite sure I wanted to be an architect, so I joined the US Peace Corps and lived in Morocco for 2 years as a small business development volunteer in a town of Azilal, which was really fun. And then I came back to the United States and decided to pursue art. I got my MFA in fine art, and now I teach at Truman State University in Kirksville.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Very good, very good. A favorite town of mine, Kirksville, Missouri. So it's a great little town. Now, would you like to share? You have family, and a newborn, I understand.
Yeah. I have a 6-month-old baby who, he's awesome. He's a lot of fun and new mom experiences right now. So that's pretty special with my husband. Yeah.
Great. Well, excellent. Would you like to say hi to anyone special? Your husband and maybe the little one for future reference, maybe here that you on your interview.
Sure. Hi.
Okay. Very good. Well, Lindsey, then can you share with us how you became inspired to be an artist? Some of it goes clear back to our childhood, naturally. I'm personally writing on the bedroom walls and never chewed out for it because at 4 years old, doing a pretty good design, I guess, on the bedroom walls. But I even said it goes maybe clear back to the caveman days when the caveman said, well, we'll go out and we'll hunt, and you guys go out and hunt, and I'll stay here and record it on the wall. So how did you become inspired? Was that individual a certain person?
So I don't really have a memory of not creating art. From the moment I could hold a pencil or a crayon, I was making things. And I think that's pretty common for most kids. I think the difference is that at some point I realized I didn't feel like myself if I couldn't make art. And that happened to me when I went to Morocco to be a Peace Corps volunteer. You only have one suitcase for 2 years, so I didn't pack art supplies. And that was the first time that I actually didn't have anything to create with in terms of color. Of course, I had a pencil, I had paper, but it just wasn't the same. And I realized like I need a creative outlet. And so I think that was really what made me realize art's a huge part of who I am at my core, and that I needed to make it the rest of my life, whether it was professionally or as a hobby. It was just important.
Yes. Well, that seems to be the core ingredient, I call it, is our passion that we find at a young age. So it just seemed like you're tuning into the norm of any artist, whatever type of art he's doing, And I've learned to appreciate through the program the different type of artists performing, or the sculpture, or the glass blower. So it's been so interesting sharing that. And again, we now turn to Lindsey, where she shares this same core passion that she must live with and express, I guess we could say. I try to hit the nail on the head there a little bit, but you've done a great job of explaining your side of it. Well, what continues you then to inspire you to continue on down the path?
I mean, like I said, art is just a part of who I am at my core. So there's a great quote by Chuck Close, the artist, who is something, I'm going to get it wrong, but it's something like, amateurs wait for inspiration while artists just get to work. And when I was younger, I definitely created art based upon when I felt inspired. But now I find that if I just show up to my studio every day, something interesting is going to happen. I'm going to learn from creating something. And I haven't had artist block in at least 10 years, but it's just because it's become a practice. If you show up and you do it every day, you're going to find more interesting things to do. And also, I stay close to the root of my inspiration, which would be landscape. I try to go outside and walk every day, and there's always something new to see, even if you go down the same paths. So just getting in the forest really helps me stay creative.
Well, I can identify a little bit with your Alaska works. I stopped over on the way to Japan, stopped there at the airport at one of the major airports, I can't think of it, but beautiful even from that side, So you grew up in a beautiful place. But we do offer nice landscapes in Missouri too, I guess you found.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Well, would you please introduce your exhibit here to the viewers and tell us how it came about? Temporal terrain brings to mind a suggestion of deep thought and interest that I see, that you really put yourself in the middle of the temporal terrain. How did that all come about?
So this exhibit, it particularly features Alaska, which it reoccurs in my work. I do have a series about Missouri, actually, because Missouri is really beautiful as well. But this exhibit really came about because I came across an old archive, a huge bag of photos that I had taken with a film camera as a child. My dad was really into photography, and when I was a child, film cameras were what we had. We didn't have digital. So anyway, I have tons and tons of really bad photos that I took as like an 8-9-year-old of the landscape, but they're really interesting. They're like these overexposed or underexposed, weirdly focused photographs of this majestic space, because we would go camping and hiking a lot. So I had a lot of access to amazing landscapes. And I just thought about how this huge archive was really a time capsule, and that these spaces and places exist in my mind as a memory. And even these photos don't really accurately represent the space as it was and then as it is now. So those memories kind of coexist and they layer in your mind. They exist simultaneously. And that's what my goal is with these paintings, is that they're not places that are real. So for example, in this painting, you see that the sky interrupts the ocean, the cut view of what we see in the water. And that's what really interests me, is creating a space or creating a painting, a two-dimensional object that is a representation of a memory, of this kind of dream space.
So these are memories that continue to be with you. Well, you have other types of works here at the exhibit that not only, well, you see the east wall here, but there's other great looking works that you'd be interested in that we will show up on the timeline here that you've forwarded to me to use throughout the conversation. Well, Lindsey, before time gets away from us, can you give us your contact information in case someone would like to reach out to you for future information, more about you, your background, what you know, or maybe even maybe a commission piece here? Would you like to give us that information? You'd like to be contacted?
Sure, yeah, you can contact me through email. I'm also on Instagram, and it's just going to be my name, lindsey.dunnagan @gmail.com, and that's spelled LINDSEY.DUNNAGAN @gmail. And then my Instagram is just Lindsey Dunnagan. Pretty easy to find.
Great. Well, Lindsey, we must take a break, so please make yourself comfortable while we look at these special messages. After the break, Lindsey will fill us in on her favorite medium, subject matter, look at a couple favorites and the story behind them, her special way of completing a project, and any special maybe techniques that she would like to share with you to come about to your own creative works. So there's so much more here on Spotlight on the Arts. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to Spotlight on the Arts. I continue with my special guest, artist Lindsey Dunnagan, exhibiting a presentation here at the Daum Museum of Contemporary Art in Sedalia, Missouri, a State Fair Commission College, if you would. So please welcome once again with me, Lindsey Dunnagan. Lindsey, welcome back. Before the great break, we shared a lot of information, so let's continue along those lines of thought and expression. If you would, please describe your favorite medium to work with.
Yeah. It changes. It's always going to be watercolor, oil, or charcoal, either one of those three. But right now, I'm really most interested in oil painting. It's just very fluid medium, and I love the surprise that happens and the quickness of it. And all the media that I like the most is going to have that element of surprise. Watercolor, you throw it on the page, it dries in really interesting ways. It leaves like plumes and watermarks that you can't always predict. You can throw salt on it for some more surprise. Charcoal, it's super fluid, so you can move it very easily across your paper, and it will also end up in places that you don't actually anticipate. So it's a kind of partnership with the media whenever I'm working. I like media that whenever I put it down, it doesn't do exactly what I want it to do, because then it's a little more interesting.
Yes, well, I always talk about the fluidity, my favorite medium, oils. The magic, I also call it, Sometimes I use the bunny brush technique. You do the sky into the should we say the sunset, whatever. You brush that in lightly with air and some hair, and it all of a sudden magically things come together. The blending, it's just, I love it. It sounds like you are enjoying it also, but you are working with those other mediums. I have also, but now I just kind of am comfortable with that the oils after about 40 years. That sounds good. Well, what is your favorite subject matter then, and to specifically now pointed out? Would you like to identify that in 2 or 3 categories if you want? You may have more than one subject matter that you love to concentrate on.
I'm most interested in the landscape, but more and more I am painting people. I do find that I'm most comfortable with the landscape because that's what I've been painting my whole life, painting and drawing, and people I have been avoiding. And so, but I do find that painting people of all different ages is quite a challenge, and that pushes me out of my comfort zone in a way that's really important for growth. But conceptually, it's always going to come back to the land, whether it's an intimate personal view of the landscape or from way high above. I have a whole series that's basically looking down at the landscape from above, at maps, but then also just the terrain from an aerial
from that angle, which would be very interesting, gives you kind of a scope of things, I guess, a different perspective. Great. Well, Lindsey, do you have a couple of favorite paintings you'd like to share with us today? If so, please go ahead and introduce them if you would, and tell us the story behind them.
Yes, one painting that I really enjoyed making that I think does something formally that's a little bit hidden is called Clear Escape. And if you look at the top of the painting, it actually mirrors the next layer in a cutout of the mountain view. So whenever you look over those mountains, the exact shape of that terrain perfectly mirrors the shape of the panel, of the wooden panel on top. And I really like doing little formal surprises like that, where you're not always mirroring the edges perfectly, but maybe an inverse. Because I think it pushes the idea that you're looking through a portal into the past. And then if you make your way down that painting visually, the terrain becomes dangerous. So you have these really sharp mountains, this sort of impossible landscape. It's very cold, and then you can see that there's really no solid ground to stand on either, because the bottom is just broken up into these caverns that are endless. But the landscape beyond this mountainous terrain is very peaceful. And so I think what I was implying is that the escape from these mountains is really not like a placid, peaceful experience. The placid peacefulness is beyond this boundary, beyond this barrier of difficult challenge. So in a way, like a memory too that you have of an experience that has been overcome.
So that was a special place that you actually was a part of at one time?
It's many different landscapes, that are just collaged together.
Incorporated into one.
And then some invention as well.
Oh, I see. Excellent. It's a great painting. I enjoy it so much. Now with your insight, we'll be able to look into it into more depth. That's a great description. Thank you. Can you step us through the process of completing a project with the brush? Is there a certain mental vision that triggers the beginning of a piece? And is there one technique or process you'd like to share with the viewers that what would that be?
Yeah, so these panels are cut out in the shape of icebergs and mountains. So just shorthand language for various landscape objects from Alaska. And what I do is after I have the panel made, I'll lay them out in front of me, and I'll get my archive, my bag of photos, and I'll lay those out as well and try to figure out what's calling to what photos belong with what panels, and then how certain things should be invented. As you can see, this body of work doesn't incorporate very much tree, And that's actually starting to come into my work now. So interestingly, over time, things change, landscapes change, things that interest me change. And I'm also moving up into the clouds quite a bit too with a more recent painting, as opposed to staying on the ground.
Oh, great, great. Now, what have you found in Missouri that really triggers your inspiration? Is there trees, water?
Yeah, so Missouri is totally different from Alaska. It's still verdant and lush, and I love walking through the forests here, but it is a totally different experience. And so actually I have a whole other body of work. It's called Skimming Boundaries, and all of the landscapes in those pieces are Missouri landscapes. What I love about Missouri landscapes is that you have these magnificent trees that are you have all these vines that are attached to these trees and also twirling around them, and in the upper brush as well. And so there's something really bizarrely magical about the tangle that I see in Missouri forests that feels otherworldly and uncanny. And so I did a whole series. My grandmother had Alzheimer's and she was nearing the end of her life, and I did a whole series that incorporated Missouri landscapes and the idea of passing on.
I see. So there's a story behind each. The entangled vines of the forest is much like life. We become entangled into life, and
it's sort of like that.
Those challenges, I guess.
Yeah, I guess you could think of it that way. For me, it was more visually eerie. There was something uncanny about it, which, like moving on to the next phase after life is so unknown. And a little bit scary.
Well, on your temporal terrain, back to the Alaska scenes, when I walked into your exhibit, the first ones I saw the night of the reception, they become somewhat peaceful, but yet the jagged edges seem like, well, that seems like a little bit of a watch your step, a little bit of caution, which I can relate to now. That you've explained exactly what I got from what you've tried to lay down, I guess, on canvas or board, yes.
I think along those lines, the collage paintings that are a part of this work are much more playful. So that's very reminiscent of childhood games, a call and a response. There's not a lot of danger in the collage pieces that, like I said, are just very playful and fun and joyous. Whereas these oil paintings are a little more complex, emotionally.
Okay, so they are a complexity, I guess you could call it. I like to try to get into the clouds. I'm known for the cloud paintings, and so I always try to incorporate a little bit of the tornado effect or what have you, dark clouds, as opposed to a friendly setting alongside the road of florals maybe combined. So, but I see a peacefulness and also that jagged edge, which is great. I can identify, I guess in short words, as I can identify with it. Well, do you have any other projects now in the works or coming up in the future, or any more venues?
Yeah, I am still obviously working on this series, working with collage and then also working in oils. But my next immediate deadline is an illustration project. I am part of the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. Yeah, and there's a conference coming up in January. So I'm just preparing for that, getting some illustrations together, drawing adults as well as children. For children's books, you need to have a variety of ages. And so, yeah, I'm really immersed in the challenge of getting those proportions right.
Well, if you would keep me posted, maybe we'll do a second interview follow-up on your children's book works. That'd be great. Well, Liz, before we run out of time, can you share with us your contact information again?
Sure. It's going to be lindsey.dunnagan@gmail.com, and that's lindsey.dunnagan@gmail.com.
Super. Well, do you have any closing words for the viewers looking into the camera worldwide, on our streaming network? Maybe a personal message for the beginning artists or for the artist community, those that have become stuck, as I call it. You had another term, but to So do you have any closing words for the community out there?
I guess I would just say, don't let someone else determine the trajectory of your life. I hear a lot of people tell me that they have fear in pursuing something that they love, and they receive that fear from society and also parental figures who, really want what's best for their kids. But there are so many ways that you can have a creative life and not be a starving artist, which is, I think, the great fear that people have. But you can work in a museum, you can work in a gallery, you can make your own art and sell it or not sell it. There's so many ways that you can stay true to yourself and live vibrantly. And I think it's really important to listen to what you need as a person. But then also be sensitive. Obviously, you have to make enough money to eat and to pay for your rent. But there are ways you can still be creative. And so try to lean into opportunities that allow for that creative space, whether it actually is in your day-to-day job or leaves you space and time when you get home from that job to be creative.
Super, yes. Well, Ms. Dunnagan, I want to thank you once again for contributing to Spotlight on the Arts. It's been really inspiring to visit with you, and informational, educational also. A great experience for everyone, I'm sure. So, Lindsey, thank you once again for having taking time here on Spotlight on the Arts.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Well, that wraps up another look at an inspiring artist here on Spotlight on the Arts. I want to thank you viewers for joining me here today, and my cameraman, Andrew Williams, camera and sound here, that's with us today, operating the camera and the sound. So, Rick J saying thanks again. Stay healthy. See you next time. The paintings of Douglas Freed exist between representation and abstraction in a realm that few other painters can really call their own. For over 20 years, Freed painted entirely abstractly, but over time he began to see references of landscapes in his abstractions. Gradually, Freed began to incorporate aspects of the landscape, such as times of day and light, in a depict or triptych painted form. Most recently, the multi-panel paintings, as you'll see throughout the program, have transitioned into a single canvas as Freed continues to explore the transcendence of nature through a synthesis of visual experience. The passage of time, light, color, and atmosphere. Freed's paintings continue to evolve in his search for an abstract means to embrace that ambiguity of the physical and spiritual experience of light and its power to foster a more intense life of the spirit through profound emotional experience of form, color, and composition.